A very good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending when you're listening to this. You can see from behind me that I'm in the early evening. We have begun a series, a couple of Christian pastors and myself in this area, called Truths to Transform Your Life. Truths to Transform Your Life. We saw last time we spoke that Jesus said this: if you will listen to my words and continue to practice them, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. To be living a transformed life, a good life, is to be free. We cannot live a good life, a high quality life, if we feel chained up in our minds, in our emotions, in our lives in any way. So this idea of Jesus is this: that he will say things, he will present things to you that have the power to bring truth to you, and then by that truth set you free. And we looked last week just at a couple of things. Remember, we said how you think about yourself. This is what Jesus says. How you think about yourself inside is how you will be. If you say, I'm a failure inside, then you will be a failure. You'll act like a failure. If you say, I'm ugly, I'm not very good looking, who would want me? Then that's what you present to people. You know, you think of yourself as ugly, and then you present yourself as ugly. Whereas basically Jesus says, if you change the way you think inwardly about yourself, then that will bring good results. So if you change, if you accept yourself, you know, we all want to be perhaps different to what we are. You know, I would like more hair. I should like to be taller, but I am what I am. You may have, you might want to be like this one, that one. You might want your hair to be like this, your nose to be like this, your mouth to be like this, your teeth to be like this, your shape, whatever. But basically, you know, one of the truths that Jesus speaks about is this: accept yourself. Just accept yourself. Be content with what you have. These are truths of Jesus. They're simple little things, but if you think about them, if you can receive those truths, they will begin to set you free. You'll walk along the street differently. If you think inwardly in a good and wholesome way about yourself. And this is what God wants. And I've just got a thought for you to consider tonight. Whenever, you know, we're presenting truths from Jesus, Christian truths that can transform your life. But you know what I come across in our communities, and I speak to a lot of people, is that the trouble is that they're not in a position to receive the truth. And the reason that they're not is because inwardly they have taken a position which closes the door on truth. In other words, if they say, for example, oh, Christianity, I don't want to hear anything about Christianity. God, I don't want to hear anything about God. You know, religion, I don't want to hear about religion. And therefore they close their ears to the kind of things that Jesus would say. Then it's because they've got a settled position. They've made their mind up. They're not going to listen. They're not going to let truth in. And if you don't let truth in, then it cannot set you free and transform your life. If you've taken a settled position, I want to encourage you to reevaluate that position. For example, before I became a Christian, and people said, go to church, I thought, church? What do I go to church? They're a bunch of hypocrites. They all wear dark clothes. They're all dry and dusty people. And this woman said to me, when was the last time you were at church? And I said, when I was 8 years old. She says, you know, it isn't like that, you know. And you see, I had taken a settled position about church. And I was saying, this is the way they are, these pasty-faced hypocrites. And actually, when I went to church, they weren't pasty-faced and they weren't hypocrites. There were some hypocrites. There always are. But they weren't all hypocrites, and most of them weren't. They weren't perfect, but they were trying to be loving and kind and considerate. So you see, I'd taken a settled position, so any truth that came out of a church was never going to get anywhere near me. And I'd taken a position about God as well. I'd decided that God was to do with religion. And what's that to do with me? Religion. I don't have anything to do with religion. And then, eventually somebody said to me, well, did you know God's not very interested in religion either? That Jesus never came to give anybody religion. You'll hear people say, won't you, when people become Christians, they'll say, oh, they got religion. But actually, if they became a Christian truly, they never got religion. What they got was a relationship with Jesus, who spoke truth to them. And when they received it, they were set free by that truth, and they lived a much happier life. So if you've taken a settled position, I want to encourage you to unsettle that position and reevaluate things. Isn't the test of whether Jesus is bringing truth to you that can set you free, isn't the test that you listen to it, you let it into your heart, into your mind, put it into practice in your life and see if it works. Jesus says, taste and see that I'm good. If somebody says to me, do you want a piece of this cake? And I've never seen this kind of cake before, never tasted it. And this person says, it's a lovely cake, mind. And I'll say, not sure. They'll say, well, look, just have a taste, have a little taste and see. And if it's good, you can have a slice. And if it isn't good, you don't have to. Why don't you try, if you've got a settled position, to do that? Taste the truth. Let it in. Have a think on it, a big think. Start putting it into practice and see if it works for you. See if it works. You see, Jesus says this too, that the entrance of his words into your heart and life bring enlightenment. They bring light. And sometimes we're quite dark inside. So when we let the words of Jesus in, they bring light of understanding. They bring a pleasantness and a hopefulness into our dark areas and our depressive moods. And so basically, you see, if you take a different position and just give it a chance, give it a chance. You have nothing to lose. I would say to you as a Christian, you've very much to gain. Let me just give you a little snapshot of Jesus. I don't know how you envision him. We see paintings, don't you? He's got a halo around his head. Well, he didn't have a halo around his head. That's a painting. And the halo is meant to say to you that he's a special person from God, which he was. But Jesus didn't walk around with a halo around his head. Neither did he have light coming out of his eyes that would, whoa, this is God. No. He came in the appearance of a man. He wasn't beautiful to look at. The Bible says that he had no beauty that would attract people to him. So he was a very ordinary person. Very ordinary. And yet, when you read of him, ordinary people loved him. Children ran to him. Everybody felt they could talk to him. Nobody felt, he's from God, therefore you'll not want to listen to me. You'll be shocked by the kind of person I am and the kind of things I want to say. Even the prostitutes could go to him and be heard. And when we think about going to heaven, Jesus said to the religious hypocrites of the day, he says, I want to tell you something. Before you go into heaven, the prostitutes will go first. So he's a very ordinary person. He moved lovingly and truthfully in the realm of the ordinary, with ordinary people, with ordinary problems. When he saw people, even crowds of people, he could when he looked at a crowd, his heart was like a sponge. It like sponged in all of the needs. So, he looked one day and he saw all these people who had followed him and were listening to him. It was a very hot day. And he realized that they were feeling harassed. Just that. They were harassed. And they were hungry. And the children perhaps were beginning to cry and were hungry. And it's at that time that we hear that he does the miracle of the loaves and the fishes. He fed them. He was always wanting to look after them. He is selfless. He's a selfless Lord. And because he's selfless, he's full of concern for you, for me, and for all human beings. Do you know, he's concerned for human beings who might say they hate him, who blaspheme him. You see, he's selfless, so it doesn't put him off. He'll suffer all of that. He might have suffered with your settled position, which closed the door on him. But you know what his response to that is? Look, he says, I knock at the door. If you will open the door, I will come in. He won't gate crash you. He won't force the door down. He's Almighty God and he can, but he will not do that. He says, I'm knocking on your door. If you open the door of your heart to me, I will come in. And when he comes in, he brings the light of truth. And when he brings in the light of truth, if you receive that light of truth, that truth will set you free. And your life will be transformed. The truth of what he says will transform your life. I really want to encourage you to do that. So consider your settled positions. You see, Jesus doesn't make small claims. He never says anything, anything little. He always says very big things. He says, for example, nobody will enter heaven except through me. Now, he's a very humble and very meek person. But the things he says are mighty. The claims he makes are huge. And only one who is the Son of God could actually make those claims. So I want to encourage you, if you for perhaps years now have taken a settled position about Jesus and his truth, to reconsider your position. Give him the opportunity to demonstrate to you by his truth that he cares for you, that he can set you free, and that he can enhance your life hugely. I close with this scripture. Jesus said this, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now just imagine, isn't that a mighty claim? Supposing any one of us got up, in a pub or in a cafe or even at home, and you just said, you know what it is? I am the way and the truth and the life. You'd think, dear me, you're mad. But when Jesus said it, those who knew him, followed him, received his words, realized that actually he wasn't mad. What he was saying was true. He's saying, do you want to know how to live your life? Do you think it's about a huge car, a bigger car, a bigger house, a better television, better holidays? Do you think what your kids really need is better trainers, better clothes, more presents? Jesus said, listen, do you want to know how to live? I am the way. Follow me. I'll show you how to live. I'll show you how to teach your children how to live and your young people. He says, I am the way and the truth. I am the truth, Jesus says. As we get to know him, we get to know truth. He speaks truth, and his truth, as we put it into practice, shows us how to get free and how to enjoy life. He says, I'm the way and I'm the truth and I'm the life. Lots of people say, well, you should live like this, you should live like that. Some people say basically life's all about eating, drinking, and be merry. You know, it's about cramming your life with things that are good, that you want, that I want, you know, me, mine. Now, there's nothing wrong with some things in life to enjoy. We all acknowledge that, and I think, and God and Jesus acknowledge that also. But listen, life is a precious gift. And to really love it and to see many good days, follow the life of Jesus. He was selfless and he made so many people happy. There wasn't anything he wouldn't do for them. There wasn't anything. One day after dinner, in that hot climate, you know, the job of the humblest servant was to wash feet. And you quite imagine that nobody was in a hurry to do that, to wash smelly feet. But then it needed doing, particularly if you're in a very hot climate, as was in Palestine. And what Jesus noticed that with his disciples and himself was that nobody was going to do that. So then we find that Jesus wraps a towel around his waist, gets a basin of water, and he washes their feet. Do you know, if we followed him in just seeing that life is about what we give, how we serve, not about how much I get, who serves me, but how much I give of myself to others, how much I'm willing to serve others in love, then, you know, it sounds a bit crazy perhaps, but when you start putting it into practice, you realise this is what life's about. It's about these things. Do you know, at Christmas time, I was in the Metro Centre with my wife and we're in Boots. And there was a little boy, he's a little boy, he's about 3 or 4, and he was in a pushchair and he was screaming. And this woman was obviously, his mother was obviously stressed out of her head, and she had bags of this and bags of that, and she seemed she was getting out all our Christmas bits and pieces in. And you know what she said? Right in the middle of Boots, I'll never forget this, she said, "I hate Christmas." Can you imagine that? Everybody turned around and looked at her because she looked stressed out of her head. And I suppose you can understand it. All of you who actually look after the Christmas, it's usually women, isn't it? I think we guys need to acknowledge that. It's usually the women who get everything in. But basically, she'd had enough. And so for her, life at Christmas was about, you know, getting stressed out of her head, getting presents for this one, that one, the other one, trying to get the right things, the most, you know, sometimes it would cost a lot of money. And, you know, life at Christmas is not meant to be like that. Jesus didn't come to us in riches, he came to us in a stable. And I think he would teach us that, listen, what we need is not to see life proceeding from material things and prosperity, but life proceeding from another source. Life proceeding from what we give. So I heard a man say this to his children and his grandchildren. He said, you know, this year I want you to give something to everybody that you see at school, your friends, everybody in your family. I want you to give them something. Every one of them. And the kid said, what, every one of them? Where am I going to get the money for that? And this guy said to them, listen, I don't want you to buy them anything. I want you to give yourself, something of yourself, to each one of them. An act of kindness. Just to show to them in some way that you care about them, that you're cheerful, that you cheer them up. Give something of yourself as a Christmas gift to everyone. And then he said to them, now how much is that going to cost you in money? And they all said, well, nothing. I said, okay, well, you don't need money to do this. But what you definitely do need is to see that life is about serving others. Life is about giving to others. Jesus said this wonderful truth. He says, do you want to find your life? Do you want to find life and a good life? Well, listen, here's what you do. Lose this life. Lose this selfish life. Lose this self-centered life when it's all about me and mine and what I get. Lose all that. Lose that life. And then you'll find what life's really about. Good life. These are the truths of Jesus. They seem very simple, but they're very deep. But when you and I receive them, our life changes. Everything changes. We feel we're free. This next Christmas is not going to be as good as how much money I've got to buy things. It's going to be about how much I can give of myself to others. And in these things we are truly rich. Thank you for your time and listening. These truths of Jesus have the power to set you and I free. And you know, it's a wonderful thing to be free. And when we're free, our life is transformed for good. May God bless you this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, depending on when you're listening to this. We'll be sharing these, and another Christian pastor and myself, Pastor Kobe. So let me encourage you to tune in. This will happen every Wednesday. Every week towards the weekend. So let me encourage you to home in. Very good night to you and a very God bless.